All right, there we go. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to OtterTalks. Tonight is part 2 of our Hunt for the Perfect Otterhound breed and breed history and standard with Becky and Eileen. And Carmen is here as the co-host. Hey, Carmen. If you have any questions during the meeting, feel free to put them in the chat feature to Carmen, and she can collect all those for at the end. And then at the end, if there's time, we'll open it up to questions and answers. I'd like to thank Becky and Eileen very much for putting on this Otter Talk for us. We all really appreciate it. Part 1 was a big success and had a ton of views on YouTube. I think we had like 30 views of part 1, as well as the people that were actually in attendance live. So it's been a success, and I'm looking forward to tonight. So with that being said, Eileen or Becky, whoever wants to start, go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm really excited to have everybody here tonight, and I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and we're going to, let's see. Let me.
There, your wiki and the Otter.
Okay, so last time we were together, Marilyn said, could you please get the Otter out and see and show what wiki looks like with the Otter. So I took a picture this morning of wiki with our taxidermy Otter, who is from the Otter is from Wisconsin. And I was able to get her donated to the Otterhound Club of America. And it's a female otter. And so you can see in the one picture, she's nose to nose with the otter. And the other picture, you can see what she looks like with the full length of her body next to the otter. Bear in mind that Wiki is almost 15 years old. So her top line isn't as lovely as it used to be, but you can see how she compares in size with the otter. And thinking about how the Otterhounds were searching for otter and would actually get into combat with them, you can see how big that otter is. That is no small animal. And so it's pretty remarkable how amazing the dogs were in being able to combat with these otters and bring them down. And so you can see it's a big animal. And a lot of people think it's a small animal, kind of like a squirrel or something like that, but look how big it is, for real. It's a good like 25, 30 pounds. And then there's Wiki, who is like 86 pounds. So it's pretty amazing.
And that's a female too. So the
Yes,
dog
yes,
would be bigger, probably.
right. So would you like to talk about how we really like to think that the dogs have not changed a lot dramatically over the years?
I'd love to. One of the things we do when we do this presentation to would-be judges is tell them that the whole purpose of doing this is to ensure that dogs follow the standard and that we don't create a different breed as the years go by. So we have found a number of photos that kind of prove the point. So in this pair, we see a girl born in 1981. And then we go 36 years later and we see almost somebody who could be her twin. So one is an English dog, one is an American dog. And despite 37 years, I think you can see that there's no change between these two. And it's not an anomaly because we have a number of dogs who look the same years apart. So let's look at some more. Here's, this is even further apart. These are like 80 years apart. We see a pair, again, of English dogs on the left and a pair or three American dogs born in 2011 and 2019. And you can still see their same shape of muzzle and head, and also their intent focus, which is wonderful. But again, look at all the years difference and we still see the same breed. And finally, here's one more pair. These are 29 years apart. And even though they're facing kind of opposite directions, you can see how much they resemble one another. And again, many of these dogs were born not only years apart, but across the pond from each other. And we're still seeing the same breed. And that's what, when we do this presentation, we try to impress upon judges that this is what we want. We want you to evaluate the dogs as they are now and not to create new ones and deviate from the standard. So. This is kind of our summary. So if you have questions on the standard, we'd love to have them right afterwards if you want, or if there's anything you want us to focus on tonight that we didn't focus on enough last time, please do tell us. But this is what we call our Otterhound at a glance card. And we give this out to judges. And if you are interested in getting one, all you have to do is email one of us, and Becky has them right now, so she will be happy to send them out. And you can see that on the first part, we have a kind of summary of the head, 11 to 12 inches, is about average for a 26-inch hound. Summarize the muzzle and skull, approximately equal in width and length. Eyes and nose, that the noses and eye rims match in colors. Description of the ears with the very important fold that is characteristic of the breed, and you see in all of these pictures. The chest, the strength of the forechest, the length of the rib cage, the depth that it comes down to the elbows are all illustrated. And there's the neck, a very powerful neck that blends into the laid back shoulders. And I was thinking when I watched Wiki Making Friends with the Otter, that one of the ways the otters escaped was they tried to drown the Otterhounds. And so one of the reasons the necks have so much hair on them is it's a protective way to kind of protect from the jaws of those otters. So sometimes the neck looks a little bit short, but we do want reach and drive, and the neck and front apparatus gives you the reach. And if we flip the card over, we will see the rest of the standard plus a nice picture of movement and a wonderful top line on that dog. Again, a level top line, a tail that's set coming directly off the spine, and the top line carried in a saber fashion. The feet are broad and they are capable of spreading to get up over the banks and through rocks. The texture of the outer coat is all summarized here. And again, the fact that the front and rear angulation should be balanced and moderate, not extreme and not straight. We talk about gait, we talk about the proportion, and one of the things I guess I would summarize is the standard is an ideal, and that's why we call the presentation The Hunt for the Perfect Otterhound. There is no perfect Otterhound, except for the ones that live in your houses. Those are the perfect ones. But in terms of looking at, you know, the standard and saying, oh, this one's ear is a little short, or this one's eye may be a little round. Again, the whole purpose of this breed is to hunt. And one of the things, if you ever get a chance to look at the old English Hound book, I love reading the comments of some of the old hunt masters. And John Bell Irving would say things like, good hunter and a good looker too. So again, you know, their emphasis was on the working part of the dog. And we do know that a beautiful dog sometimes doesn't hunt. That dog can't hunt, you know. And one of the things in the hunt tape, when we used to use that for our presentation, which you'll see, there was a girl in there, a female, who had a snipey muzzle. And I was used to say, see how snipey your muzzle is? And then they'd say, oh, there she is, the one with the snipey muzzle. And every time you saw her, she was leading the pack. So, you know, again, you know, beauty is one thing, but, you know, there's still that, you know, that thing that makes them a good hunter, and they can overcome their ear placement or their tail placement, you know, but in the ring, we look for the ideal. And I guess I'd also say, finally, we do not have any penalty that disqualifies a dog. There is, if the tail set isn't right, that is not disqualification. If the bite is off, that's not a disqualification. The only thing we ask people to penalize is over grooming, frou-fouring, scissoring, styling a dog, because this is a breed that should be natural. So, and at the bottom of these, we have places where you can go to ask questions, to get more information, and particularly to see the full illustrated standard. We ask you to go to otterhounduniversity.com. And if there are no questions so far, Becky is going to introduce you to Otterhound University.
Oops. So, a reminder that if you would like to get a copy of the At a Glance card for yourself, you can send us an email at jec@otterhound.org. Also, for those of you who have not seen it, there is the full movie of Tarka the Otter available on YouTube. And so you can go to YouTube and search for Tarka the Otter. For those of us who have been with the breed for a long time, Tarka the Otter is like one of our classics, you would say. It's kind of like the Disney movies that used to come out. You might remember when you were a kid going to watch The Wonderful World of Disney, and there was a lot of anthropomorphic study of various animals. The animal would talk and tell you what they were thinking and stuff. This is kind of like that, but it's not like necessarily a happy ending or a happy movie. It doesn't turn out well in the end for everyone. So it's not like the fairy tales that you would like to have be that great happiness. So anyway, take a look at it though. It's kind of fun. This is our Judges Education Committee. And then you can see listed here our mentors. And so if you are interested, when you come to a dog show, and would like to spend some time with one of our mentors talking you through, you know, check in with these folks and see if they could spend some time with you talking about the breed, whether it's at ringside or at where they're set up with their dogs, so that you could certainly enjoy spending time with them and learning more about the breed. So I'm going to stop the share for a minute here. And then I'm going to go back and share my screen. And let me see here. I have to find my, just a minute here. Okay, can you all see my Otterhound University screen? I hope.
Yep.
Okay, so not everybody is all that familiar with what's available on Otterhound University. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity tonight to show you what's available. So first of all, we have the Otterhound Owner's Guide. And there we have a really extensive history of the Otterhound, which was written by one of our members. And it takes you on a lot more depth than what we have in our Hunt for the Perfect Otterhound. And so you will enjoy really going back. Look there, you can see a tapestry from 1378. And this really tells you a lot of the story of how Otterhounds were developed. Queen Elizabeth was the first woman master of a royal pack of Otterhounds. And who knew all of that. So please, if you're interested in the history of the breed, I would definitely recommend that you spend some time taking a look at the history of the breed. Another area that I think is of interest to people who are kind of new in the breed, take a look at the grooming. And so here you can go down and see like cleaning their teeth, treating their eyes, cleaning their ears. And here you'll see the recipe for the purple stuff. And so that is for cleaning those beautiful Otterhound ears. And those who've been in the breed for a long, long time swear by the purple stuff. And Eileen, I don't know if you want to say a little something about the purple stuff. But I've always heard, don't apply it when you're in your house. Kind of take them outside because when they shake after you put it in their ears, it'll go everywhere.
Yeah, I don't practice that, but you know, you can also wear purple. That will work too. But it is it's an old bloodhound recipe, really, and it's funny because I gave it to a friend of mine with a bloodhound. It is. I've had so many over the ear problems, including Pseudomonas. This is the stuff that worked. I can't tell you enough, and you don't have to rub it or anything. You just insert it. And if you get 16 or the gentian violet solution, I've had mine for almost 30 years and I'm on my second batch. So that's how long it lasts. It's the best deal in the world.
Okay. So then also, here's some tools for grooming the Otterhound coat. Here's a video. I know that Bev Barron did a great job with talking about grooming. Here's another breeder who is able to talk about grooming Otterhounds. This is Betsy Conway, and Sarah McQuitty also talks about grooming the head. So certainly check that out. Toenails, one of the things I really love on this is it really shows how to take a look at the toenails and groom those. Don't let that quick get too long. And so this is really valuable. Again, it talks about taking a bath, all that good, important stuff for taking care of the dogs. Let's see, also in Otterhound activities, you can see a good variety of different things that you can do with your dog. And here in the beginning is Otterhounds in Conformation. There's a little clip from the ending of the Best of Breed in 2018 and 2015. And some pictures of national specialty winners. Emphasis on the National Owner Handler Conformation. And then, you know, for those people who are brand new to conformation showing, Marilyn Hajar shared this with us, her video of taking Barley to his very first show. And I don't know if Marilyn, you'd like to say anything about that. Are you on there?
I'm on there. Do I want to say anything? Well, it was probably the most frightening 10 minutes of my life. No competition, first show for both of us, the day that Barley was 6 months old. And the judge was very kind. Neither of us really knew, neither Barley nor I knew what we were doing, although we had taken confirmation classes for about 6-8 weeks or so. And all he wanted to do was have fun. And I thought, well, we need to take this seriously. And the judge said, no, have fun. And I think if you're lucky enough to get a judge that likes puppies, your Otterhound will be a treat for the judge and for yourself. If you haven't shown, and I'm trying to see who's here, I don't think that's true for anybody though. You know, you have to start somewhere. And later on, we had great success. He ended his career as a grand champion. He was the only IABCA Otterhound ever to achieve the highest rung of the IABCA ladder. And he was the third in the United States to do it, of all the dogs that ever did it when he did. He loved to show. And I think the difference for me is that right from the gate, Barley always loved to be in the ring. And my other dog, who is a beautiful and exquisitely handsome dog, hates to go in the ring. And I think reading your dog's body language is pretty clear that it's important that you work together. And if you're going to show the film, I will hide my head a little bit, but yeah, remember that was 12, 13 years ago. I've learned more. Barley's gone, but he's my memory. I have learned more since then, but those of you who knew him and know me understand that when you work together as a team, what you get from it is as much as you put in, and you get so much more. Thanks.
Absolutely. So I'm going to scroll on down to some of the other activities. The Otterhounds and junior showmanship. It's great to see kids in the ring with their dogs. Obedience. Surprisingly enough, Otterhounds can do obedience and rally. And of course, one of the things they love dearly is tracking. And then there's a video here of Darlene Jewell and her Otterhound Wally doing tracking for a TD. There's also Otterhounds doing agility. And here's a video of an Otterhound by the name of Spring participating in a
Agility. I think Becky's frozen. But that's Spring doing a novice agility run.
and Canine Good Citizen. So I don't know, can you hear me?
We lost you for a while, but you came back.
Okay, good, good. So there's a number of other chapters. Please spend some time taking a look at that. But right now I'm going to take you on to the judge's guide. And on here is the illustrated standard. And so this is a booklet that we give out to all of our judges and goes into detail about the breed standard in paper format. And so if you have not had a chance to look at the Otterhound illustrated standard, it's right here for you. And at the bottom of this, I have a PDF that you can download and print this out for yourself so that you can really take a good look at all the various aspects of the Otterhound breed. So this is kind of the same stuff that Eileen has gone over previously with you about what is expected in terms of all aspects of the Otterhound. So it goes through the head, the skull, the muzzle, faults, the eyes, the ears, all these various things. So if you're interested in downloading a copy of the illustrated standard, you would be able to do that at the conclusion of this part of the Otterhound University. And then I'd like to show you a little bit of the hunt pack. And this is a video that was taken in England. And let me see here. We want to start this back at the beginning. There we are. This was taken in the 80s. Is that when this video was made?
I thought it was late 70s or early 80s, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We were still working at that time, so it might have been late 70s. That's John Bell Irving, who was the master of Preacher hounds. And this is his kennel. And the Bell Irvings owned the Dumfriesshire hounds for 99 years. When they stopped hunting otters, it was 99 years, almost made it to 100. So that's his kennel. And you can see the dogs, how strong they are. Look at the nice fronts they have. They're just standing naturally. Lovely pictures. And there they are hanging around with the beagles. That's their huntsman. And I think now you're going to go on an actual hunt.
And this is the what's the river here? River Milkbank?
The milk bank, yeah. Spectators are amassing here. On a hunt, they had the main huntsman, then they had what they call whippers in. And I believe this fellow is a whipper in. They're there to keep the hounds from straying away from the pack. So you can see them along with, John Bell Irving, and I think his name was Harrison, Billy Harrison, but I'm not sure. Time to start.
And so there's a little dog there. You can see it's a border terrier.
They used the terrier to flush the otters out of their holes when they got in. I think this gives you an understanding of why we say they need to have the hard coats and the big feet as they go in and out of the water. You saw how rocky the rivers were, and their banks are pretty rocky. And there's the dog swimming. This is in Scotland, so the water is pretty fast, the current, and it's quite cold. And you can see on a hunt, they go from dry land to water to dry land to water, which is why they should be able to shake themselves fairly dry in between. And there's the terrier. They scooped him up, got a little deep. And then again, that's all rocks.
You can really tell the current is strong. You watch the dog try to swim through that.
And I think this is why many Otterhounds prefer wading rather than swimming, because it takes less effort to walk through a rushing water than it does to swim. And you can see with that current especially. This is I love this shot because this explains why Otterhounds don't listen to people. At a hunt, the people are there to watch the dogs. They don't give orders to the dogs. They don't direct the dogs. The dogs completely ignore us, except for maybe their huntsman and their master. But they're doing all the work all by themselves, and everybody else just goes along to watch. So, unlike working with a retriever or a working dog where they depend on your signals, the sheep dogs, they are looking to the humans. Otterhounds know that the humans have terrible noses and they can't catch an otter anyway, so they ignore us. Look at the terrain. You can tell why Otterhounds have to use their noses. How would you ever see an otter in that terrain? You'd never find them. You'd have to scent. Can't even see the dogs in that terrain, basically.
You can also see why the dogs need to have strong feet. As you see them going over all those rocks, and thin pads would not hold up in the midst of all of this. They really need those thick pads. So when you're feeling your dog's feet and those thick pads, that's what really allows them to keep going in all of this.
Cows came along. There's your terrier.
So shall we move on from here, Eileen?
Sure. But
Okay. So you can see that you can watch the entire video of this hunt, which is about 40 minutes whenever you want to, because it's available for you.
And-
So in addition to that, we have also the Hunt for the Perfect Otterhound is available on here. And so it's totally narrated. And so as the same as what Eileen went through with you in our last seminar, this is a YouTube version that's narrated. And so you can go through the whole thing with Kiki Lamb and her husband, Herb. And then I wanted to also show you what's available for Otterhound Club of America members only. And so you can set up a password. And so this is available only for members. You can watch a video of Dr. Gerald Bell, who is a geneticist, and he did this wonderful presentation for us in Tennessee when we had our national specialty there. And it's really great. Every time I watch this video of Dr. Bell, I learn something new. There's also written information about what his thoughts are about the genetic diversity of dog breed. It's really excellent. Also, there's a video of Dr. Marty Greer, who has written a book called Canine Reproduction and Neonatology. And she talks about managing your valuable stud dog. And this is also a really great video that really talks about taking good care of your male dog, whether Otterhound or other breed. And then also is the list of Otterhounds that have seized. And so you may, what I find is I can't really read it when it's that small, but you can increase the font size so that you can read it more clearly. And something that I think some folks don't realize is that if your dog has a health issue, to contact the health committee and let them know what the health issue is. If your dog has had a seizure, it's really valuable for breeders and others to know that the dog has had a seizure. And so please do contact the club because this is a really great and important thing for folks to know. And although we all feel really sad when our dog has a health problem, we can improve our breeding programs if we're aware of what health issues are occurring in the breed. So,
yeah, also, if your dog has a seizure or another major health problem, there is a form on the OFA website that you can fill in. And the reason that's good is because the OFA has our DNA data bank, or our bank of blood. And when we did research into epilepsy, we went to that bank and looked at the dogs who had seizures that we could use, plus maybe a litter mate who did not have seizures. So we had the blood there, but without the health reports, we don't know which dog had which problem. So if that happens, we ask you to go and fill out that form so we know we can use a particular dog's DNA in a particular study for an illness.
so I think at this point, if we would love to hear if anybody has any questions about anything that we've covered tonight or last time that would be helpful for you. So I'm going to stop the share there.
I'm not seeing anybody popping up in chat just yet.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to unmic and maybe throw a question or two you guys' way.
I would recommend you watch the hunt video and also the Tarka. I was lucky enough to go on a hunt in England a number of years ago, and I think everything in the standard made sense when I saw what the dogs did and what they did for hours. And so I know it's not maybe the most exciting cliffhanging thing, but it really, and get Tarka, and a word about Tarka, you'll find yourself kind of seeing the Otterhounds as villains if you really buy that film. But the villain of the piece is called Deadlock, and that film was made with the Kendall and District Hounds in England. And Deadlock, you'll look at him and think, Deadlock is a member of the Kendall and District pack, and he's half Otterhound and half Bloodhound. So when you see him, the packs bred Bloodhounds into their packs, obviously into the 70s, right before they disbanded them. So along with other breeds, the foxhound, etc. But it's interesting when you look at him and you go, there's something about him. And that's probably what you're wondering about.
Actually, I had a question. So I actually have the book Tarka. So like the original volume 1, whatever. And A, I love it. But B, it brought to mind a question. We are a endurance breed. We're supposed to go for hours and hours along, tough terrain and all that good stuff. But how long, like how much ground could a pack cover in a day's hunt?
They could hunt 6 to 8 hours. I think there is something that said it, and I can't remember. Was it 12 miles or something? Anybody know?
I'm not sure.
And do you just check the wall, or do you?
I was thinking make like a loop of some sort. Ask.
I mean, they are endurance, and they do go. And one of the things, for those of you who have dealt with pacing in the show ring, the reason Otterhounds pace, or I think the reason they pace so easily, is it's a resting pace. And if you watch that video, you will see as the video goes on that dogs will go behind the hunt master, pull away from the pack, and they pace. And that's their kind of, when they're tired, they go down and it's their lazy, easy gait. And then when they get their second wind, they'll go back into the pack. But you'll see dogs moving out of the pack, walking behind the huntsman. And that's what's happening. So anyway, whenever my dog paces, I keep saying, well, what can I say? It's a resting place. She's not too tired. But
That's an important distinction to actually consider making in the standard, because it's part of the breed singularity. Or I don't know if other sporting endurance dogs pace as well. I don't have that experience with them in the ring for sure, but I wonder whether or not that, how do the English feel about that? Do they actually, when they're doing their shows, note that pacing is a normal format for the breed or not?
I'm just thinking of some of the pictures from Crufts where, where the Mastiff just laid down in the ring and didn't walk. She had to call her husband in. They don't have quite the showmanship, in some of their shows. But, I'll say honestly, some people call Spirit Wiggles. When she's on a track, she's single tracking and she's pacing. When she's going for a long trail, she, and she does not trot like she does in the ring.
I think that what I've seen, and thankfully I haven't seen it with either of mine, but I have seen it, and it seems to be more toward the younger dogs than the older ones, and they have to be trained out of it for conformation. That's not always consistent, but I have seen it, and I have seen people feel very disconnected by it. How do we stop it? How do we change it? Because that's not what they're supposed to do. But if it's a natural doing, why would you train something out of being natural?
Well, I guess I'd say there's nothing natural about the conformation ring.
No, this is true.
I mean, you're taking an athlete that's bred to go for miles and running in a circle for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's trotting, and you don't trot for miles. I mean, Spirit on a trail, paper. She has what they call the bloodhound lope. She does not trot and perfect. That's her natural pace on a trail.
Mhm.
It is. So I don't, I don't say they all do that. She does. And, but they did point that out in the, I remember Karen talking about it, and that she did that video. And yeah. And the other thing is, young hounds have to learn how to hunt. They're not born to it. The hunt I went on, they had a young dog. They were his first hunt, and they were all watching how he did, and then afterwards they talked about it. But, the dog goes with the pack and kind of learns how to hunt. And it was interesting to watch that dog. He was quite good, actually. But, they were very interested in to see how he did.
It was also interesting when we went to England and we saw how they would put a harness on an experienced dog and connected them with a young dog who had not hunted before. And so the young dog would learn from the experienced dog by being connected to them with a double harness.
That's an interesting idea.
Cool to see how they would do that.
What was the distance between the two dogs?
Not much distance at all.
So they would be very
Very
shoulder to
close.
shoulder.
Very close. Yeah.
So Carmen, I looked back in my notes because the teacher in me writes notes when I watch these wonderful presentations. And the Otterhounds hunt can go up to 6 hours a day and up to 18 miles.
And I thought walking across campus in college was tough. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, they don't tire either.
Mm-mm.
No, they don't.
Marie, you sound like you have that from experience.
Yeah, I've got a puppy who can go forever. He loves to be outside, and he can run and run and run. Thankfully, going on walks and sniffing tires him out more than his energy level and running does. But yeah, it's amazing to see how much energy they have.
Well, although I have not been on a hunt in England, I'd love to do that, or hunt anywhere. We used to run our dogs in a fenced-in area with bushes. And what was interesting is that we could see them working together as a pack. So Mamba would usually say to everybody with a very specific howl, "I got something." And then I would have 3 or 4 Otterhounds flushing. One would go left, one would go right, the third one would go in the back, and there's the rabbit. Now, they never got it, but just watching them working the bushes and running the hillsides was just fascinating. And I mean, you could see where the tail comes into play. Obviously, when you have 5 dogs, you can recognize them by the tail. I don't know if I could do it with 20, right? But the instinct is there. Well, of course, on one hand, I wish that they caught the rabbit. On the other hand, don't think so. But yeah, it's in their DNA, all right.
Mine did catch the rabbit, and they did flush it to the other dog. So you should be
Same,
interested.
same here. It's not a good
Yeah. Well, well, I don't know that we flushed, but they got a gopher once, and that was over because then it became the game to get it again, right? But yeah, it wasn't pretty.
One of the things I find is my dogs aren't crittery when they're trailing. I mean, even as a youngster, Spirit, I was doing an evening trail. 2 rabbits jumped out of the bush right in front of her. She paused for a minute, and I said, "Get back to work," and she did. She did not chase them. I think the nose is, and that's probably comes from, you don't want your pack to go off on some other critter when you're actually hunting an otter. So they know what they're doing. And I think, the picture of their brain is 99.8 is nose. And so once they get that in their nose, they're not, now, obviously, if they're hanging around in the yard and they're not following anything and a couple rabbits jump out, good luck, to the rabbits, because they'll go for it. But it's interesting that they're not crittery, when they're working. I find it interesting.
Any other questions, anybody? Feel free to speak up if you do. Looks like none. Thank you so much, ladies, for doing this presentation. It was really cool. I liked it a lot, and it really worked on that first part too. So it was cool to have it both part 1 and part 2. So I appreciate it. For upcoming Otter Talks, we don't have any on the schedule yet, but we're going to be doing one that is rally and obedience, and then one that we haven't scheduled yet on nutrition. I think Carmen's working on, and those hopefully will be in April. And then we have another speaker hopefully coming up in April or May that Becky and Sarah are working on. So we've got some things coming up. So stay tuned. Watch your email or your Otterhound lovers on Facebook or the OHCA page on Facebook for those upcoming Otter Talks. And thanks to Becky and Eileen for having it, and thanks for everybody for coming.
Good
Thank
night.
you very much.
Thank you.
Great work.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
We're
Good
doing,
night.
I was going to, we're doing a tracking weekend on the 19th and 20th of June, if you're in Illinois. And on the 18th, the day before, we're doing a Otterhound presentation in Grays Lake. So if anybody's handy, we need your dogs to come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Should they email you or touch base with you, or how would they get?
Either one.
Cool.
Yes, so you can come in
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
do a hand. You can bring your dog for a hand.
My boy, my boy.
What were the
Come
dates?
on, son. Yeah. Up.
The 18th is the
Come
presentation.
on up.
Grays Lake. It's at 1 o'clock at the fairgrounds, right, Becky?
Yes.
And then Saturday and Sunday will be at Chain Lake State Park, tracking all day Saturday and Sunday. And that's absolutely free, but all of them are free.
Cool.
Yes. And we'd love to have as many folks as can come.
Yeah,
Okay.
locals.
Yeah, especially you Illinois folks.
Yes.
I'm not an Illinois folk, but if I can make
Illinois or Wisconsin or Iowa, all those
Michigan.
in that general vicinity.
Yeah.
Come on
Surrounding
down.
state folks.
Yes.
We had the Devlins from Pennsylvania last year,
Yeah.
so.
Eileen, if you want to talk about hotels, I'm available at some point,
You mean
like
now?
for places for people to stay.
I can send you a list, or
Okay.
'cause
Yeah.
I noticed that the Super 8 has become the Wyndham or the whatever.
It's getting fancy up there.
Well, no, I think they just bought all the Super 8, something like that. So anyway, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Eileen. I appreciate that.
Because Marie's here and Carmen's in Wisconsin and Ron and Sydney are here, and
Our captive audience.
I need these people. So,
Just a word.
Okay.
As much as the dogs like getting together as a pack, the people like doing just the same. So
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Thank you, Carmen, for co-hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Bye, everyone.
Pleasure.
Good
Take
night.
care. Have
Bye.
a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.